too. Manx Radio's Update with Beth Espy.
Fastamai, good evening. It is 5 o'clock on Thursday. The bank holiday weekend pretty much starts here, and welcome to your daily roundup of news on and from the Isle of Man. Coming up before 5:30, we continue to reflect on the achievements of the Manx Missile. We'll find out what's being done to reduce the number of empty properties on the island, and we'll look ahead to tomorrow's Tynwald Day celebrations with a rundown of what the more formal proceedings mean. We'll also keep you posted on anything to watch out for travel-wise on your way home, and as ever, you can get in touch. You can text 166 177 or email studio@manxradio.com. First of all, let's join Simon Richardson for the Man Benham News headlines.
Tax breaks on rental income and a new tax on poorly maintained houses are some of the ideas being considered to tackle the number of empty properties in the Isle of Man. The proposals are part of a government report looking at ways to reduce the number of unoccupied buildings on the island. Loganair has unveiled an Isle of Man-inspired aircraft in celebration of its expansion at Ronaldsway Airport. Mark Cavendish has been in action again this afternoon in the Tour de France, but despite being involved in the sprint finish, couldn't repeat yesterday's success, finishing in the main group. And Billy Harris is back in action at Wimbledon in an hour's time. He's taking part in the men's doubles at 6 p.m. International headlines: a security guard has been found guilty of planning to kidnap, rape and murder TV presenter Holly Willoughby. Gavin Plum claimed his plans were a mere fantasy, but a jury took just over 12 hours to find him guilty. The 37-year-old wept as he was taken down. A teacher found guilty of having sex with two schoolboys has been sentenced to 6.5 years in jail. One of the teenagers said he was coerced and manipulated by 30-year-old Rebecca Joins. And at Wimbledon, British number 2 Harriet Dart has beaten British number 1 Katie Boulter in the second round. Dart won the third set on a tie-break. Those are the headlines. There'll be more news at 6.
Thank you very much, Simon. Now the weather brought to you by Manx Glass and Glazing. Largely dry this evening and tonight. Only the small risk of an isolated shower, and there will be clear skies at times. Moderate to fresh westerly winds, a minimum overnight temperature of around 9. The all-important Tynwald Day forecast, dry with sunny spells tomorrow. It will be a little bit cloudier in the afternoon and evening though. Light to moderate westerly winds. They will gradually back southwest. Top temperatures tomorrow of 16 Celsius. So probably still take your coat, eh? A spell of rain at first on Saturday. That will clear during the morning to sunny intervals and only isolated showers, and temperatures on Saturday around 15. Sunset this evening will be at 9:52. Sunrise tomorrow morning, 4:54.
Manx Glass and Glazing don't just do the big jobs. It's easy to repair broken greenhouse glass at Manx Glass and Glazing. For greenhouse glass cut to size, call 674 573.
See the island like you've never seen it before on an incredible chauffeur-driven trike tour. A unique way to make memories that will last a lifetime. Gift vouchers available too. See iomtriketours.com for details and booking.
One architectural design company has particular expertise in achieving planning approval for a wide variety of projects, from landmark buildings to spectacular homes. Talk to the experts at Ellis Brown and get your project off the ground. For excellence in design, search Ellis Brown.
Your business can grow its market share 4 times faster. Be heard by over 43,000 island adults over 13 weeks. Call us on 682 600. Manx Radio is proud to support Manx businesses and communities.
Firestone Rubber Roof Shop for one-piece flat roofing systems. No joins, no leaks. We also line commercial box gutters in one piece up to 60 metres with a 20-year written warranty against leakage. Call Rubber Roof Shop on 49667.
You're listening to Update on Manx Radio. It's coming up to 5:05. Well, an historic 35th Tour de France stage win yesterday for Sir Mark Cavendish is earth-shattering for the Isle of Man. That's according to the woman who first introduced him to the sport. He became the all-time greatest stage winner at the event. It wasn't to be, as we heard today, but he is still the best sprinter that the Tour de France has ever seen. Dot Tilbury says that is an incredible achievement.
Oh, it was bit of numbness, really. He's had so much bad luck along the way, and once he started on that sprint, oh my heavens, it's unbelievable. but not unbelievable, because he's just a maestro in the sprint, and it's just earth-shattering for the Isle of Man. Yesterday, when you just saw the aerial shot of him weaving in and out, and remember they're going at, I don't know how many miles an hour, but it seemed like 100 miles an hour, but and he's just weaving in and out, and it's like he's got wings. It's just amazing.
Just how much does this mean for Manx cycling?
He's put on a pedestal, and sometimes he comes down to the NSC on a Tuesday night if he's over with his family, and the kids just love him, and it's just great to see.
And just how much of an impact does that have then on the next generation of Manx cyclists?
Terrific impact, I would hope. He inspires anyone from an island to think, well, you don't have to come from a big city or a big country to be a world champion. And it's just amazing that he's set the Isle of Man on the world stage.
That is Dot Tilbury reflecting on Sir Mark Cavendish's incredible stage win yesterday. I would love to have been with her when she saw what happened on the screen. So lovely to talk to her. There have been chats today about whether or not there should be a statue to Sir Mark Cavendish, perhaps around the Isle of Man, or I also saw somebody say that tomorrow should actually be called Cavendish Day instead of Tynwald Day. Not sure what you think of that one.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
You're listening to Update on Manx Radio with Beth Espy. Now, what can be done to reduce the number of empty or dilapidated properties on the Isle of Man? A report looking at how to tackle the issue has been published, and news editor Sian Cowper has been looking at it and joins me now. First of all, Sian, why has the government been looking at this issue?
Well, this goes back to June last year when the Albury Castletown and Maloo MHK Jason Morehouse brought a motion to Tynwald looking into ways to tackle this, particularly looking at ending rate exemptions on empty properties. So if a property is empty at the moment, you don't have to pay a rate on it, and that is seen as a disincentive towards developing those properties and getting them back on the market. Now, that motion was passed with an amendment committing government to investigating some options, and it is quite an issue, the empty properties. There are 5,700 empty properties, or just under that figure according to the latest census, and that's about 15% of the total housing stock on the island. So essentially they've been looking for ways to incentivise occupancy and also disincentivise having properties just sitting empty.
So what's been happening since then?
Well, government has been consulting internally and also with the local authorities who have responsibility for some property on the island. They've compiled a list of options, those incentives and also disincentives, and asked for feedback on them. From that, they've been able to shortlist 8 ideas which they think could get some of these empty properties back in occupancy. Some of the incentives they're looking at a rental income tax holiday. That would mean landlords would essentially be able to get a 5-year tax break on income from renting out these properties, and also whether they could reintroduce the Town and Village Regeneration Scheme to try and get some vacant commercial properties back in occupancy and also do up some brownfield sites. There could also be some disincentives brought in. This would essentially penalise those who own empty property, and that would include removing rate exemptions and also supporting enforcement action to try and tackle problem properties, the ones that are in disrepair, and also introduce a charge or tax on poorly maintained properties, and that would be based on their potential rental income.
So what do we know about what's going to happen next?
So this report is going to be laid before Tynwald this month. There's not going to be a vote or anything on it at this point, but we do know that later in the year, government is targeting October for a public consultation on this, and that means the public will have a chance to have their say on these proposals, and we understand that consultation will run for around 6 weeks.
Sian, thank you very much indeed. It is coming up to 5:10. 6 pieces of law are going to be promulgated at St John's tomorrow as the Isle of Man celebrates Tynwald Day. Well, Manx Radio's Christian Jones joins us now. Christian, just give us an overview. What does this whole promulgation mean?
Thanks, Beth. And that is the time of the year where politicians, high-ranking officials and obviously the King's representative gather to effectively tell the wider public of any new laws of the land. In older times, it would have been the one time where these laws or acts could be switched on, but nowadays it's largely ceremonial, and pieces of legislation are generally already in effect by the time they're proclaimed on Tynwald Hill.
But it actually still could be used as a time that new laws are switched on then?
It could be if they wanted to. It's generally not, but the important thing that is each act of Tynwald must be promulgated on Tynwald Hill within 18 months of enactment, or it simply ceases to have effect. So while laws might already be enforced ahead of their promulgation, they will still have to be read out on Tynwald Day, otherwise they will be become void.
Now, there are a few acts which we're already quite familiar with: the Income Tax Act, Animal Welfare Act, and also the Gas Regulation Amendment Act, just to roll them off the top of my head there.
Exactly. All of the acts on the so-called order paper for tomorrow have already been switched on, and you'll already be able to tell that's the case when you look at your paycheck and see you're being taxed an extra 2%. But like you say, the Animal Welfare Act, that came into force a little over a month ago, which puts the onus on owners of domestic animals to ensure their well-being or face much tougher penalties. And the Gas Regulation Act, without going into too much detail and causing you to nod off, that gave government new powers to prevent vulnerable residents being disconnected from their gas supply during the winter months.
Christian, thank you so much. You're going to Tynwald Day tomorrow, and I understand it's your first time on the Fairfield.
It absolutely is. I am very excited. I'm going to be wearing morning dress.
Have you got a top hat?
I can probably source one.
I bet you could. Christian, thank you very much indeed. Let's turn our attention to the business news now. And Loganair has unveiled an Isle of Man-inspired aircraft in celebration of its expansion at Ronaldsway Airport. The specially designed aircraft, named Clan Manannan, reads Isle of Man's Airline, while the Loganair logo has also been adjusted to represent the three legs of the Triskelion. The tail and underbelly have also been redesigned to incorporate the forest green accents from the Manx tartan, which they say signifies the hills of the island within the airline's own signature colour scheme. That aircraft is now going to permanently be stationed here to service routes to and from Ronaldsway Airport. Well, turning to the stock market report from Ramsey Crookall this evening, and UK and European stocks closed higher for a second straight session, regaining some momentum as the UK's general election draws focus in the region. Oil prices fell in early trade, though, after US employment and business activity data came in weaker than expected, in signs the economy may be cooling in the world's top oil-consuming nation. The price of oil stands at $87.51. That's up 0.55%. And gold prices drifted higher after softer than expected US economic data fueled hopes that the Federal Reserve could cut interest rates as soon as September. Gold currently stands up 0.11% at $2,358. At the close, the FTSE 100 was up 0.86% at 8,241. A short time ago, the Dow Jones was off 0.06% at 39,308, and the Nasdaq was up 0.88% at 18,188.
I'm running late again. Do you know where I put my car keys?
In the fridge.
Where's my phone?
Under the dog basket.
Bye.
You haven't forgotten that we're seeing Ramsey Crookall later?
Oh, no, of course not. 5 p.m, is it?
3:45.
I'll be there.
Life is busy. That's why Ramsey Crookall's team takes time to help you make a mindful investment decision, considering all the options, giving you full control of your financial future. Less stress, more assurance.
Forgot to put my shoes on.
See how we can make your money work for you. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
It's 14 minutes past 5 now. The Department of Environment maintains that there are strict conditions that event organisers must adhere to when using land that holds ecological value. Now, photographs seen by Manx Radio show promotion of an approved motorcycle event beside a government notice warning of nesting birds in the area. Amy Griffiths asked Minister Claire Barber why that was allowed to happen.
So the reason that it's been allowed is because the specific route that would be followed has been deemed to be acceptable. And the signs that are up are far more focused on people who are using it year round, who may have dogs that are off the lead, who may not stick to those designated routes. So it's perceived that it's a very different risk.
Over the TT period, there was clear messaging for motorbike visitors to avoid these areas. Is there not maybe a level of irony there?
It's the difference between an organised event that's got a very clear route, that's been pre-agreed, pre-authorised, has had proper engagement with the right teams, and people who are just moving freely through an area without that knowledge and that consideration for some of those other environmental and habitat issues. I certainly think it's regrettable that both the posters were put next to each other and appeared to give conflicting messages, and that's something that we'll pick up within the department. Protecting habitats for many different species, but including those nesting birds, absolutely is a priority for the department, which is why we have the consultation when we consider events of this nature, and sometimes they're not possible to be held just because the routes can't take that into account. But all motorsport events that use our department land have to adhere to our environmental code. Our priority is absolutely allowing people to enjoy the area, but in a managed way. And that's far more easier with an organised event than it can be with people using an area but may not have the same level of understanding or any sort of commitment to a code. There absolutely is precedent for the department declining requests to use areas because of wildlife or biodiversity significance. So, it's certainly not a case of us just saying yes to anything. There is a quite exhaustive process to make sure that events that are authorised have made all the appropriate considerations and that all of the stakeholders are in agreement that it can proceed.
That's the Environment Minister, Claire Barber.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Well, nothing really obvious sticking out on the roads going home this evening. It's usually the things that we already know about. In Onken, that Avondale road closure, which has been in place 24 hours a day, is due to finish today. I'm not sure if it's already gone. Hopefully it has. That'll be a relief for if you have to head that way. And I say the rest of the things are mainly the traffic lights which are around the island. So Laxey in the Ramsey Road at the Minorca Hill Junction. Ramsey on May Hill until next week near the Seamount Road turn. Derby until tomorrow on the Coast Road between the Cronk and Derby, and the lights at Knocksharry are due to go today. Hopefully they might have already gone. The ones at Ballybooey Junction are due to be there until next week. And from Monday we will have evening road closures around the Blount course Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. That's for the Southern 100. There have also been some temporary lights on the course at Maloo Church for wall repairs. All looking okay down at the airport. A couple of little delays but nothing major, and the steam packet looks good too, with the Manxman due to arrive at 6:05.
Quayside Tyres and Service Centre with 1 year's free engine warranty from Castrol. Get more with
Quayside. It's 17 minutes past 5 now. 25 participants from 19 small countries are taking part in the annual Small Countries Management Programme, which is being held at the Nunnery here in Douglas. Now, it's staged by the Small Countries Financial Management Centre, which is a Manx charity, and its mandate is to provide quality training and development for officials from countries which have endured poverty or conflict. The programme aims to bring together senior officials who work in finance ministries, central banks and financial regulators from some of the world's poorest nations. Simon Richardson's been along to the Nunnery to speak to some of them.
Good day, I'm Melinda Vleermeis. I'm from Namibia.
Now, it's a long way to the Isle of Man from Namibia, but this kind of event, how valuable is it to you in view of what you do back home?
Well, I'm in the financial crime environment. So what I do is to fight financial crimes, anti-money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing. So it's really important for us to curb money laundering and all other kinds of financial crimes. So this program has been really valuable in the sense that coming from a small country and the work that we do and helping our governments, I always say that I grew up in the children's home, and I've shared that with all the participants here, that I would love to do what our government has done for me so that we are able to curb financial crimes. They can have more money to, build a children's home, help other people, the elderly, build roads and all other important things that the government is supposed to do.
Now, Bassam, I notice you're from the Maldives. Now, among you all here, you've got some destinations that most of us dream of as possibly going on holiday. Now, obviously, it's a bit colder and wetter over here, but, do you see any parallels between here and back home?
Yeah, I came in and it's not just the Isle of Man. With all of them, because we are small countries, we have a lot of similarities and a lot of challenges we face are also the same thing. And I think how friendly people are, how happy people are in being on an island, and how I see a lot of people in the UK has come here and moved in, and that means that there must be something really good happening here for people from bigger countries to come and settle here. So people say the Maldives is nice and everything, and I think even Isle of Man has something special. That's why people are moving here, and everyone I see is so friendly, and people are not happy or friendly if there's nothing going on or something. So in that way, I see a lot of players. It's a happy place. It's a nice place.
That is some of the participants in the Small Countries Management Programme, which has been taking place at the Nunnery. All of them will now head to Oxford University for the next phase of the event. And if you want to find out more, you can see the full story at manxradio.com. 5:20 now, and ahead of the 2024-25 season, FC Isle of Man face their first pre-season test tomorrow night when they welcome National League North side Brackley Town to the Bowl. Ravens manager Paul Jones explains how early preparations have been with the team, as well as some of the other developments since the end of the previous campaign.
Really good. Been in for, it'll be 3 weeks by the time we play against Brackley, so it feels very early, but with the season kicking off on the 27th of July, we needed to give everybody at least 6 weeks of a bit of a run-in. So we've had some really good training sessions. It's going to be an exceptionally tough game, but it's kind of probably just what we need.
Since we last spoke at the end of the last campaign, there has been a little bit of change with regards to the squad. Club captain Frank Jones confirmed on social media that he wouldn't be part of the setup for this coming campaign. Not a decision or a situation that has pleased everyone. So just from your situation, can you explain a little bit of the reasoning behind that decision?
Look, Frank's been, an exceptional role model for many footballers on the Isle of Man for 20 years now, and I've got nothing but respect for what he's done over a long period of time. Ultimately, it's about me picking, 22, 25 players, which we are doing this season in a smaller squad that I think can take the club forward over the next few years. And in order to do that, that means that maybe some players have to move out of that group to give younger players the opportunity to develop. We had a good conversation, and Frank had an opportunity to stay in the playing group in a different role, and has chosen not to take that, and that's his choice. We're sad to see him go, but ultimately it's about moving forward.
Up against Brackley Town at the Bowl on Friday, a team several leagues higher than you in the National League system. What kind of a challenge are you expecting, and what do you want to get out of this first pre-season fixture?
A huge challenge is what I'm expecting. It's going to be tough. We're their first game of pre-season, and they've only really been in for a week, 10 days, but players at that level come back in a really good shape, and I'm sure that the manager Gavin will be really looking at them to build on what they did last season. It's going to be a good mileage in our legs, I think. Hopefully we can get on the ball and play a little bit and show the qualities that we have.
That is the Ravens manager Paul Jones speaking to Rob there. 5:22, and another significant sporting event now. This Saturday and Sunday marks the start of one of the biggest events on the Isle of Man's golf calendar. The 24 Isle of Man Golf Championships take place at Mount Murray between the 6th and 14th of July. And Isle of Man team captain Daryl Callister explains who could be in contention to take the top prizes this year.
Same sort of numbers. I think a few years ago they increased the sort of people that would compete in qualification, but it's back down to the usual number of 81. So yeah, for 16 spots, which is quite tight as usual. You got the same contenders on the men's side. Rob Noon is looking to win 3 in a row, so he's won the last 2 Island Championships, so around his home course as well. So he'll be heavy bookie's favourite, will Rob Noon. And then you got some contenders from the north. Jamie O'Neill, who was the former champion in 2019. Stephen Barber, who's just won the Ramsey Town Cup. Danny Fowles as well was quarter-finalist last year. Looking south, you've got Andrew Challoner, Liam Cowan, really solid golfer, been very consistent this year. Looking eastwards, we've got Kev Moore from Douglas, 3-time champion. Peter Glover as well, champion in 2014, a recent winner of the Willie Kirkpatrick Trophy at Mount Murray only a few weeks ago. Westwards, you've got Paul McMullen, Danny Bell.
And on the women's side of things, last year, Kaylee Dawson taking victory from Peel as well. So what can we expect maybe in the women's championships this year?
Kaylee's, again, very similar to Rob, won the last 2, so going 3 in a row. So Kaylee will be, again, hot favourite to retain her title. But yeah, don't rule out the competition from Emma Noon and Shirley Price. Shirley being past winner of the Women's Island Championships. But then there's Kelly McMullen and Sarah Wignall, who's transferred from football into golf. So see how they get on in their championship outing this year.
It wasn't just the championships, as some of the top players on Ireland might have in mind. They'll maybe want to try and put in a good performance heading towards, like, say, the county championships that are coming up later on. So how important could good form, at least in this particular championships, be?
Yeah, absolutely. The team will be picked after pretty much from the qualifying, so there'll be a few names in there who are looking to impress.
That is the Isle of Man men's team golf captain, Daryl Callister. Do you know what? You can't have enough Rob Pritchard. Here he is again. More sport, Rob.
Yes, very good evening indeed. Well, we're going to start with cycling. Where else to start with what's happened this week? And it is regarding Mark Cavendish. Well, after making history yesterday, he came close to rewriting the record books again this afternoon at the Tour de France. Having claimed a previously unprecedented 35th Tour stage win yesterday, the Manx missile was involved in the bunch sprint to the line in today's Stage 6 showdown. However, this time the 39-year-old didn't quite get the opening he was looking for, as Team Jayco Alula rider Dylan Groenewegen took victory ahead of Jasper Philipsen in second and Biniam Girmay in third. Elsewhere, Cavendish's Astana Kazakhstan teammate Cees Bol also managed a strong finish, getting into the UCI points and getting those points on the board, finishing 15th, with both ending up inside the top 20. Well, tomorrow sees a break in the road race action on the Tour at Stage 7.
So when are we going to see action again? And are there any other stages that Cav might be likely to win?
There are some stages that are coming up, but tomorrow particularly, it's a 25-kilometre time trial event, one of two time trials taking place. There'll be this event and then the final stage as well, from Monaco to Nice, right towards the end of the Tour as well. That'll be a time trial event. Well, that is going to be starting in Neuilly-Saint-Georges and finishing in Gevry-Chambertin.
Beautiful accent.
Hope I've got that right. If anyone of from France is listening to this, please do correct me if I need to be corrected. But yep, a little bit of a break in the road racing action, but still plenty going on in the time trials tomorrow. Well, moving on actually, and we'll take a look at tennis, because the wait continues today for Billy Harris to get a second shot at glory at Wimbledon in 2024. The former Albany and Castletown competitor is due to take part in the first round of the men's doubles competition at the Grand Slam alongside fellow Brit Liam Brody against USA pairing Christopher Eubanks and Evan King. Well, having originally been due to start at 11 a.m. this morning, changes to the schedule throughout the day mean the match on court 11 at the All England Club is now not due to start until 6:05 this evening. Well, Harris made his Wimbledon debut early this week in the men's singles as he lost out in 4 sets to Jaume Munar of Spain in the first round. The Isle of Man pro player's recent good run has seen him climb into the top 120 in the ATP World Rankings in the last few weeks. And finally, taking a look at rugby, and former Ireland prospect Patrice Bell and Ireland have just about taken victory during their second contest of this year's World Under-20 Championships in South Africa. The Irish side needed a late try from Finn Treacy to help them edge to a 22-16 win over Georgia this afternoon to keep them at the top of Pool B. Ireland will be back in action next Tuesday when they take on Australia.
Thank you so much, Rob. Well, that is it from Update for this evening and for this week, actually, with the long bank holiday weekend coming up. There will be a breakfast special tomorrow morning. That'll be reflecting on the results of the UK general election and, of course, to look forward to Tynwald Day as well. Remember, you can contact us in the Manx Radio newsroom anytime by email. Newsroom@manxradio.com is how to get in touch. And as always, there's much more on tonight's stories on the Manx Radio website, including interviews in full in the newscast section. Coming up next, an Island Life special with Bob Carswell, the Nation Station and the Mother Tongue. That's paying tribute to Doug Farragher, who introduced the Manx language to Manx Radio more than half a century ago. Before Chris Kinley will be here with Greatest Hits live from 6. Whatever you're doing, have a great one, and Update will be back at 5 p.m. on Monday.
Down at the Southern 100 races this year? Why not pop into S&S Motors, your local EVF one-stop shop for fuel and so much more. S&S Motors, supporters of the Southern 100 races.
Dreaming of a family adventure? Loganair has you covered with our Kids Fly fare-free offer. Start planning today. Limited time offer, booked by 9th July. T's and C's apply. Children aged 11 and under eligible and must fly with full fare-paying accompanying adults. Book today at loganair.co.uk. Loganair, your journey, our joy.
Ride in to H&H Motorcycles.
Hello, I'm Nathan Harrison. For motorcycle sales, service, repairs, tyres, suspension including upgrades or full long-term restorations, choose the team that builds race-winning bikes. H&H Motorcycles on South Quay Industrial Estate, Douglas.
Now stockists for Arai, Motul and RST. H&H Motorcycles. Your bike couldn't be in better hands.
Problems with your spine and posture can have a serious effect on your quality of life, but Align for Life Spine Clinic could help. If you're suffering from back pain, neck pain, headaches, their holistic scientific approach could find and treat the root cause of the problem for long-lasting relief. Touch Align for Life now or call 629 444. Align for Life, the island's spine and posture clinic, here to make life better.